Today we're going to be building the ProGCC V3 controller. To do this, we first need our PCB, our shoulder button ribbon cable, our entire shell kit, our motor mounts, as well as our Torx T6 screw kit. To get started, let's go ahead and grab our shell, and let's grab the middle frame from inside the controller to start working on that. Let's start with the shoulder buttons ribbon cable. We need to place it onto the frame and secure it down on both sides with the membranes. Start by placing the middle of the ribbon cable underneath the tab on the frame that sticks out. Once you have that in place, you can begin securing down each side. Start with the lower portion of the ribbon cable, as this needs to be slid underneath the plastic and laid down flat on the lower level of the frame. Once you have the one side done, you can go ahead and do it to the other side. For the top portions of the ribbon cable, all you really have to do is line up the two holes and push it down. Once again, make sure that the ribbon cable is laying flat and it goes underneath the plastic part that sticks down. Also make sure your ribbon cable isn't in the way of the screw holes, otherwise it can be destroyed. Now that we've got the ribbon cable in place, let's go ahead and use the membranes to hold it in place. To start, let's grab the ones for the bottom button. Put the two legs of the membrane through the shell and pull down. This will go ahead and secure the membrane in place. For the top ones, you'll notice that there's a peg that slides directly through the membrane. You can then rotate it and slide it down onto the catching locking tab. Now we're going to go ahead and add in the two trigger buttons. All we have to do is slide the button into place. From there, you'll notice that nearing the middle of the frame, there's an opening for a peg to be slid through to hold the button in place. All we have to do is go ahead and slide the peg all the way through the button up until it lines up with the black plastic. That's how you know that it'll be fully inserted. Now let's go ahead and attach the bumper buttons. The only real trick to this is making sure that this plastic tab goes inside of the frame piece. Otherwise, if it's sitting on top, you won't be able to press the button. You then just clip the two pegs in on the right, and from there, you're done. Let's go ahead and repeat the process for both the bumper button and the trigger on the other side. Now that we have the trigger buttons and bumper buttons done, let's move on to the front of the shell. Let's go ahead and grab all the buttons as well as their membranes and drop them into place. From there, we can go ahead and grab our white PCB from the ProGCC kit and place that down over top of the button. That's followed by the trigger piece that we just assembled. It sits directly on top of the white PCB. From there, you can begin putting in all of your screws. There are a total of 4 screws. However, when you're done putting them in, flip the controller over and test your minus and capture buttons. If they don't press well, then you may have to back off the very 2 right screws very slightly. Keep doing this until you get a good feeling minus and capture button. Now that we have the front half of the controller done, let's move on to the back. The very first thing that we want to do is grab our sync button as well as the light pipe that go into the top of the controller. The sync button goes into the left side and the light pipe goes into the right. Over top of both of them is a locking collar piece that just sits over top and is secured down by 2 screws on either side. Once it's screwed down, we can go ahead and place our ProGCC board into the shell. Once it's laying flat, we can secure it down with the 3 Torx screws. Now, we need to go ahead and secure down the 2 rumble motors using our motor mounts. These are little mounts that essentially allow the rumble motor to sit inside of them and wedge them in the shell so that they don't rumble themselves free and vibrate in the controller. All we have to do is remove the backing off of the rumble motor and stick it to the motor mount. From there, all we have to do is wedge it into where the original mounts go for the OEM Pro controller. Once it's in there, make sure you get the wires out of the way of any screws, and repeat this on the other side. When you put the 2 halves of the shell together, it'll press down on the top of the motor mount, ensuring that they don't move. Now let's go ahead and put our sticks onto the stick boxes. All we have to do is line up with the opening on the stick and press down. From there, we put in the very bottom light pipe and secure it down with 1 more Torx screw. This is followed by inserting the ribbon cable that'll connect the front and the back half of the controller. We like to pre-bend it so that the contacts are facing upwards, and that way they can connect to the front PCB. You always want to have the blue side of the ribbon cable facing up when you plug it into either side of the controller. Now we can go ahead and connect it to the top PCB. Once again, remember, you want the blue side facing up. It should look somewhat like this, and it should essentially accordion fold when you put the 2 halves of the shell together. From this point, we can go ahead and begin reassembling our controller. We'll start with the 4 screws. 2 go up at the very top, and just a reminder that a normal iFixit Mako screwdriver will not be able to reach these screws, so we recommend using one of the small blue screwdrivers that we offer. Go ahead and insert the 2 screws at the top, and then there's 2 more by the bumper buttons that we'll want to go ahead and put in. Then, the back cover simply clicks into place. It's also held down by 4 more Torx screws. After they're secured down, we can go ahead and slide the 2 grips on, and each one will be secured by 1 screw at the very end of the grip. Since the ProGCC does come with RGB for all the buttons as well as the sticks, you are able to use extreme rate clear sticks, buttons, and membranes, and these will allow the light effects to shine through even better on your new controller. Now all that's left is following our configuration guide, which is linked in the description, and from there you'll be all set up to use your controller. If you have any questions, join our Discord linked below. And if you want to see more content like this, please be sure to subscribe.